So what we have now is a more complex circuit like this. We have Vt is already given, R1, R2, R3, R4, and R5 are also given. What we need to calculate is current through each one of them and voltage between A and B and C and D. So VAB, VAC, VBC, VBD, VCD, I1, I2, I3, I4, I5 is needed. So we want to calculate. How do we do that? System of linear equations, but we have to write the equations first, right? So let's say current starts here, comes here. It can go through this or it can go through that, right? So the same current that comes here can go through this or can go through that. Is that correct? So I have I1 and I have I2. Do they need to be equal to one another, I1 and I2? Are they equal?
Yes.
Do they need to be equal?
Yes.
I1 and I2.
Yes.
Yes? Why? You have a flow. Let's think of it as water. Let's think of it as Boise River. Boise River is coming in. Right here on campus, there are two sections, right? Current is coming in. There is one big section. There is one small section. Is flow through both sections the same? No. Similar to current. This is not the same current. So there is a current coming in I. It will be divided by two. Not divided by two, but it will be divided into two sections. I1 and I2. So they can be the same. They cannot be the same. There is no constraint on them being the same or not.
Yesterday's they were the same.
They're the same because they're following. So there was one section. There was one
Right.
wire. So they had to be the same. Here they don't have to be the same. Two wires, two different routes. Now I1 comes here. It can go this way. It can go this way. Is that true? I1 can go through I5, can go through R5, or can go through R3. So I5, I3. This is an assumption. We assume that current is going to be this way. It can be the other way around. Right? You make an assumption, you go with it. If the assumption is correct, that comes at positive. If it's not correct, that comes at negative. So let's see what happens. So I5 is coming from here. I2 is coming from here. Both of them will go through the force resistor. So we have I40. So far the equation that we have is I1 is equal to I5 plus I3. Is that correct? That was our assumption. It's either correct or not. If it is not correct, I5 comes as negative. If it is correct, it will come as positive. So I1 is equal to I5 plus I3. Here, I2 plus I5 will make I4. I2 plus I5 is equal to I4. Is that correct so far? Are you all good? Perfect. Now the voltages. Voltage between A and D is equal to VT. Right? There is no resistor here. So VAD is equal to VT. Is that correct? Now the issue is VAD is not really there. We have VAB, we have VBD, VBC, VAC, VCD. Right? In order to construct VAD, it's VAB plus VBD. Is that correct? VAB plus VBD is equal to VT, because that's VAD. VAB plus VBD is equal to VT. Similarly, VAC plus VCD is equal to VT. VAC plus VCD is equal to VT. Now we don't have VBC, do we? In our equation, we don't have VBC, so we will not solve for VBC. How do I create VBC in my equations?
You add them up, so it'd be like how you do with the eyes.
Absolutely. VAB plus VBC plus VCD is equal to V. Now the question that I'm going to ask now could be a good question for a quiz. But then you can leave. All right. So I have VAB plus VBC is equal to VC. Perfect. First of all, before I go to the quiz worse question, how many unknowns do I have in this system? I have I1 through I5, so 5 I's. And I have 5 V's, right? How many equations do I have? 5. I have 10 unknowns. I have 5 equations. Remember, always we have V equal to Ri, right? So if I have 5 equations, I have 5 V equal to Ri. So 5 equations is just enough to solve this. The rest of it is VAB equal to R1 I1. VAC is equal to R2 I2. VBC is equal to R5 I5. VBD is equal to R3 I3. And VCD is equal to R4 I4. Now, my question is, the same way that we did VAB, VBC, VCD, we can do VAC, VCD, VD, right? So I can do VAC plus VCD plus VBD equal to VT. Can I replace this with this?
You don't need 5 equations. So.
We need 5 equations, but some equations don't provide new information. That rank thing is important. I don't know off the top of my head that I can just replace this with this and I'm going to be fine or not? We might or might not. We probably would not because we are losing VCD in this process. So this equation is basically similar to this equation. It doesn't really add any new information. So equations, the construction of equations is important. Now that I have all the equations, I can write the matrix A, I can write vector B, and I can do A backslash B to get the answer. Is that correct? In order to construct that matrix A, all the unknowns should be on the left-hand side, all the knowns should be on the right-hand side, right? All the unknowns go to the left-hand side. So in this case, the first one becomes I1 minus I5 minus I3 is equal to 0. Because I1, 5, 3, all unknown. I2 plus I5, we take I4 to the other side, negative I4 is equal to 0. Do I need to change this equation? Do I need to take VT to the other side? No, VT is given. So this one is okay, this one is okay, this one. Do I need to take Ri to the left-hand side? Yes, because I1 is unknown. So they all become V minus Ri equal to 0. Now that we have this, we need to construct matrix A and vector B. Matrix A, this is again super important. You have it, what's the size of matrix A? What's the size of matrix A now?
10 by 3.
10 by
4.
no 3. How many unknowns there? So what are the rows in matrix A?
I1, 5, 3.
What are the rows? Don't worry about the name of the values. What each row is? Each equation is one. What are the columns? Variables. How many variables do I have? How many? We have 10 unknowns. 5 of them are V equal to I. So 5 of them are V, 5 of them are I. So we have 10 unknowns in total. We have 10 rows, 10 columns. A should be a square matrix anyway. So it's a 10 by 10. In a linear system of equation, we'll get to a situation that A can be not a square. So we have 10 rows and 10 columns. Each row is one equation. Each row is one equation, each column is one value. I have I1, I2, I3, I4, I5, VAB, VAC, VBC, VCE, VB. And then the first equation, I have I1 So 1, negative 5, negative 1, negative 1, right? So 1, negative 1, negative 1. The rest is 0. Then I have 2 and 5 negative. 2 and 5 are 1. 4 is
1 minus 1.
negative. Then I have VAB and VBD. Then I have, so I'll keep
VA.
adding to this matrix. And then B, on the other hand, what's the size of B? 10 by 1. So I'll have 0, 0, VT, 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 0, 0, 0, 0, right? Then when I do A backslash B, what do I get the first element?
Will be I1.
First element is I1, second element is I2, third is I3, I4, I5, sixth element is VAB, 7 is VAC, 8 VBC, 9 VCD, 10 VB. Does that make sense? So if I want to do it in MATLAB now, super easy. Not super easy, but relatively easy. First of all, I have to define my knowns, R1, R2, R3, all the way to R5. And then I have to define VT, also another known. And then I have to create A, I have to create B, and then I'll get my answers. Just give me 1 second, and this will be up and running. So R1 is 200, R2 is 350, R3 is 400, R4 is 150, and R5 is 410. VT is 110. Now what I need to do is I need to create my matrix A. Matrix A comprises of a lot of zeros. So I do A is equal to zeros of 10 by 10. Now I start filling in. Do you all see this, or do I increase the font a little more? Sure. Is that good now? So the first row is the first equation, right? I have column 1, I have column 5, I have column 3, right? I1, I5, I3 are column 1, column 5, column 3. So first row, column 1, column 5, column 3 are equal to 1, negative 1, negative 1. Does that make sense? I'm replacing the first row, column 1, column 5, column 3 with 1, negative 1, and negative 1. Make sense? See, I have 1, column 1, negative 1, column 3, negative 1, column 5. So that was my first equation. Second equation. Second row, I have column 2, 5, 4. 2, 5, and 4 is equal to 1, 1, negative. AB and BD. AB is 6, BD is 10. Does that make sense? AB is 6, BD is 10. Fourth row, AC and CD. AC is 7, CD is 9. 7 and 9. I have 1 and 1. Then I have the fifth row. I have AB 6, BC 8, and CD 9, right? What is 6, 8, and 9? All of them equal to 1. The sixth row, now I got into VAB minus R1, I1. Sixth row is AB is 6, I1 is 1. So 6 comma 1 is 1 and negative R1. In the sixth row, I have VAB minus R1, I1, right? VAB, coefficient for VAB is 1, coefficient for I1 is negative R1. Does that make sense? Let's see. So far my A is this. I have gone all the way to row 6. I have to do row 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, row 7. AC is 7. I2 is 2. I have 1 and negative R2. Then I have row 8. BC minus R5, I5. BC is 8, right? 8 comma 5. And I have 1 and negative R5. Then line 9. I have BD negative R3, I3. BD is 10. I3 is 3. 1 and negative R3. And finally, line 10. I have VCD minus R4, I4. VCD is 9. I4 is column 4. So this is going to be my matrix A. And then I have to create vector B. B is all zeros except for 3, 4, 5. So B is equal to 0, 0, VT, 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 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And then I need a prime because it has to be vertical. And if I do x is equal to a backslash b, it doesn't work because I didn't put the prime after all. So my assumption was correct or not about I5? Bless you. Do you think my assumption about I5 was correct or not? Assumption that's going from B to C.
Yes, because it's positive.
Yes, because it's positive. If it was negative, it would have gone the other way. So is the process clear? Yes.
Can you just come back up to row 6 real quick?
So here what's important is for you to learn the process. I probably, hopefully, will not ask a complex question like this in the exam, but you never know. But it's important that you know how the process works. So, with that, let's move to homeworks. And in the homework, there are a couple of things that I want to cover today. Hopefully, I'll be able to within the time. Yes?
Are we still on track to have our next exam in 2 weeks from today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Let's have a look at question 6. Ideally, I should have had enough time for you to start exploring, and then I start explaining. But we don't have that. We have only 40 minutes left, and I want to cover a few of these questions. So make sure you practice this at home yourself. You have seen the first exam. You know what's the deal here. So I take 3 loans, a total sum of $1,000 from 3 banks. One has a 3%, one has a 6%, and one has 8% annual interest rate. My total interest payment after 1 year is $53. If I borrow from the first bank twice as much as the second bank, how much did I borrow from each bank? How do you think I should approach this? It's a system of equations, right? I just have to start writing that system of equations. Think about it while I erase the board. So let's start translating these into mathematical equations. I take three loans, so I have x1, x2, and x3, right? I have x1, x2, and x3, summation of which is $1,000. So that's my first equation. x1 plus x2 plus x3 is 1,000. First equation. My total interest, so each one of them, 3% on x1, 6% on x2, and 8% on x3 is the interest rate. Is that correct? Summation of my interest payment after 1 year is $53, bless you. Right? So 3% of x1 plus 6% of x2 plus 8% of x3 is $53. So 0.03 times x1 plus, what's the interest rate? 6. 0.06 of x2 plus, is that 8? 0.08 times x3 is equal to $53. Now, if I borrow from the first bank twice as much as the second bank, what does it mean? x1 is equal to 2 times x2. x1 is equal to 2 times x2. That's all the information that I have, isn't it? Now, in order to solve this, I have to take all the unknowns to one side. So x1 minus 2x2 is 0. Now, is this a system of linear equations? I can solve it, right? I have to start creating my matrix A and right-hand side vector B. So CLC, let me do clear so everything is gone. My matrix A is going to be how many rows, how many columns? 3 by 3. The first row I have, so each column, right? First row, each column, I have 1, 1, 1. So I have 1, 1, 1 for the first row. Semicolon. Now I'm on the second. 0.003, 0.06, 0.08. Now I'm on the third row. 1, negative 2, what? So that's my A. My B is equal to 1,000, 53, and 0. And then I have a prime for this because we want it to be vertical. A backslash B, 450 from the first bank, 225 from the second bank, and 325 from the third bank. Now we are going to take a quiz from this question.
There we go.
Since Adam wasn't here to. Does it make sense? How I constructed that system of linear equations? What's important in this chapter is to create that system of linear equations. When you have that, it's a matter of just A backslash. Done. Creating that system of linear equations is something that you want to learn here.
Mine is saying a matrix dimension must agree.
So what is the size of A? Do whose, just whose, and it will give you all your variables with the size and everything. A should be 3 by 3, B should be 3 by 1. So your B is probably 1 by 3.
Yeah, I had semicolon to it.
Okay. And then you do the transpose or what? So A should be 3 by 3, B should be 3 by 1. That's the crux. But let me anyway move to, you know how to do this. Let me anyway move to question number 5. I want to do question number 4 and 5 today. Let's quickly talk about 2 and then let's move to 5. So I have a parabola that is defined by y equal to c1x squared plus c2x plus c3. We can determine the unknown coefficients. Let go for now, Joe. We'll get back to this. You're going to miss more important things now. It's a simple mistake that you probably have in your code. We want to determine the unknown coefficients c1, c2, and c3. If we can determine c1, c2, c3 if you have 3 points on the curve. For each one of these, determine the unknown coefficients. What does it mean? How do I solve this? How do I find c1, c2, c3 for this set of points? How do I do that? It's a 3 by 3. We have 3 unknowns, so it's a 3 by 3 matrix. But how do I create that 3 by 3 matrix? What are these points? What is negative 2 and negative 1? X and 1. So if I put negative 2 in, I should get negative 1 as well. Right? Then I have 0 and 1. So x is 0, y is 1. Then I have 2 and 2. X is 2, y is 2. So I can just plug those values in to my function. I have y is equal to negative 1. C1, x is what? Negative 2 squared plus C2 times negative 2 plus C3. For the second one, we have 1 equal to C1 times 0 squared plus C2 times 0 plus C3. And then I have 2 and 2. Now, is that a system of linear equations? A backslash b. A is created by this or this. Yeah, so this is the other way around. Unknowns are on the right. What you can do is you can take the knowns to the other side, and it's basically the same as A. This is your A. This is your B. What's going to be the first line of A? The first line of A.
4
4.
and 2 and 1.
Exactly. Right? So the first line of A is 4, negative 2, and 1. The second line is 0, 0, and 1. The third line is 4, 2, and 1. Does it make sense so far? There is an easier way also to do this. What are all my x values? This was supposed, oh no, this is not new. What are all my x values? All together.
Negative 2, 0,
What are all my y values?
Negative 1, 1, 2.
Perfect. Now, if I do A is equal to x dot squared, x ones of 3 comma 1, what will I have? X dot squared. So I have negative 2 squared, 0 squared, 2 squared. And then I have x, which is negative 2, 0, and 2. And then I have 1, so that's 1, 1, 1. Isn't this your matrix A? Where did I get this? From the equation. Equation was what? Y is C1 x squared plus C2 x plus C3. So the first column is coefficients for C1. Second is coefficient for C2. Third is coefficient for C3. Coefficient for C1 is what? Coefficient for C1 is x squared. Coefficient for C2 is x. Coefficient for C3 is 1. So instead of writing all this, I can use the equation to create my matrix A. What is my vector B?
Negative 1, 1, 2.
Yes, but that's equal to y. Keep this in mind. Next week we are going to work on this a lot. Just try to understand the concept. Why A is x squared, x, and 1. That's just the coefficient of the unknowns. Unknowns are C1, C2, C3. Coefficient for the unknowns is x squared, x, and 1s. Again, I'm going very fast here, but this is homework, so you'll get back to this. And if needed, you can go back to the video. All right, so let's move on. Don't be stuck on that previous question. Let's move on to the next one. A system is governed by this equation. And we have made the following observation from the system. So I have a set of x values, I have a set of y values. I have y equal to 1 divided by c1 times x plus c2 exponential of x equal minus 2. So I have two observations, I have two unknowns, right? Two observations of x and y will give me two equations. Two x values, two y values, right? I'll have two equations. And I have two unknowns. So I should be able to find the value of the unknowns. The only issue here is this a linear system? This is not a linear system. Why is it not a linear system? First of all, linear with respect to what? Is it with respect to x that we are saying this is linear, this is not linear, or is it with respect to c that it's not linear? What does it mean when I say with respect to x being linear, or with respect to c being linear? Let me give you an example. let me give you a very simple example. I have y equal to c divided by x. Y is equal to c divided by x. Is this equation linear with respect to c or not? With respect to c. Y is here, c is here. With respect to c, this is linear because c has a power of 1. Y is equal to c divided by whatever. We don't care. With respect to x, this is non-linear because x has a power of negative 1. In a system of equations, we care if the system is linear with respect to unknowns. With respect to the unknowns, the system should be linear. We don't care about x here. X is given. Exponential of x has a value. Done. That's it. What we care is C1 and C2. With respect to C1 and C2, is this linear? It's not linear. Can we make it linear? Yes. How?
Put 1 over y.
But if I put 1 over y, so I have to put 1 over both sides, right? 1 over y, the other side is 1 over this minus 2. What do I do with that minus 2? What if I take minus 2 to the other side first and do 1 over both of them? Does it make sense? If I take minus 2, and I write here because the camera is capturing this side, so you'll have the video later. What I will do is first, I'll take minus 2 to the other side. It becomes y plus 2 is equal to 1 over c1x plus c2 exponential of x. That's the first step. Second step is I reciprocate both sides. 1 over y plus 2 is equal to c1x plus c2 exponential of x. Now, is this linear with respect to c1 and c2? Yes. c1 has a power of 1, c2 has a power of 1. Linear with respect to c1 and c2. X and y, we have values for them. So we don't really care if that's exponential of x or not. Because exponential of 2 is a value. Exponential of 3 is a value. Right? 1 over y plus 2, that's a value. Whatever that value is, we don't care. Do we care if that's 0.1 or if that's 1? That's just a value. So in this case, what we have observations, x and y. X is 2, y is negative 1.9122. So we have 1 over negative 1.9122 plus 2 is equal to c1 times 2 plus c2 times exponential of 2. The second equation is 1 over negative 1 plus 2 is equal to c1 times 5 plus exponential of c2 times exponential of 5. Now, do I have a linear system of equations now? I can solve Again, I'm going really fast. You'll have the video, and this is basically homework, so you got to practice it at home anyway. This aside, we can solve this without just plugging in all the information. I have my x value, I have my y value. A is x. A is what? A is C1 times x plus C2 times exponential of x. So x and exponential of x. And b is 1 dot divided by y plus 2. B is this side, and A is this side, right? That's the same as if you do this first. The only important issue here is x should be vertical, y should be vertical. If they are both vertical, just plug them in. A and B, A backslash B is going to give you the answer. Done. It's going to give you C1 and C2. Again, I know that I'm going really fast on this. You'll have the video. This is homework anyway. I'm just trying to cover. I'm trying to cover all the important topics here. You'll have time at home to practice this. Last question that's very important for me to cover today is this truss. Have you had static already? Do you remember trusses? People are so excited to see trusses again. But trusses are also system of linear equations. You have a bunch of equations that relate the forces within each member or within each leg of the truss and for the foundation. Again, what's important here is for you to be able to write that system of linear equations. Let's look at it as a whole. Let's not break this. We'll have two vertical forces, Fay, Fby, right? So the two So the vertical force that I have is basically Ff that has an angle of theta 3. What's the vertical force that Ff applies to this truss? The vertical force that Ff applies to this truss. Sine. Ff sine of theta 3 is basically the vertical portion of Ff, right? That is equal to what? Fay plus Fby, right? So Fay plus Fby is equal to Ff times sine of theta 3. So my first equation, Fay plus Fby is equal to Ff sine of theta 3. Perfect. Now let's talk about horizontal forces. Horizontal force here is equal to 0, right? It can slide. So f bx is 0. So basically what happens is that the horizontal force of ff is equal to fax, right? What's the horizontal element of ff? Ff cosine of theta 3. So this is the outside. Now we're going to break each leg, and do the inside forces, F1, F2, and F3. Right? Let me break it right here. I have F1, I have F3, I have theta 1, I have FAY, I have FAX, right? Now if I write the summation of forces in the x direction, what do I have? Summation of all forces in the x direction is 0, right? So I have FAX plus F1 sine of theta 1 or cosine of theta 1? Cosine theta 1 plus F3, all in the positive direction, equal to 0. In the y direction now, I have FAY in the positive direction plus F1 sine of theta 1 equal to 0. Let's break this leg now. First of all, how many unknowns do I have? I have one unknown here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 unknowns. Is this considered an equation? No. I have 6 unknowns. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equations so far. I need 2 more. If I break this leg, it will give me 2 equations, and I'll do that. What I have here is FBY. Let me see. I have FBY, not FBI. And I have F2, and I have F3, and I have theta. In the x direction, what's the element of F2 in the x direction? Negative F2 cosine theta. So negative F2 cosine theta 2 negative F3 is equal to 0. That's in the x direction. In the y direction, I have FBY plus F2 sine of theta is equal to 0. How many equations do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. How many unknowns? FAX 1, FAY 2, FBY 3, F1 4, F2 5, F3 6. I have 6 unknowns, 6 equations. Can I solve this now? So basically what matters here is constructing that system of linear equations. So what the question is asking you is a little more complex, because what it asks you is to create a function. So remember functions? Function outputs equal to name of the inputs. That takes ff, theta 1, theta 2, theta 3 as inputs and solve the following truss and return x, a, and b as output. X is basically a backslash b. You can create a from here, you can create b from here, and you can solve that truss. So basically what we have here is we have a function that we can give it any theta values, any force, and it will solve this truss for us and will give us the forces, internal and external. I'm going to stop right here. If you have any questions, let me know. And also, please give me your comments and flashcards that we share. This homework is due next week on Friday. So make sure you practice this and submit your answers.